Hello, friends. Thank you for being here. It's lovely to have you. This is a workshop called Goal Setting Made Easy. And I promise you, although there's a lot of information, we will make this as easy as possible. So welcome. I'm Tracy Payton. I'm a transformational energy coach, a clarity trainer, a Reiki master. I work with and coach women with too much on their plate and help them create focused clarity to start and end their day. So today, as mentioned, we're going to be talking about goal setting. Currently, I'm recording this in January. This is the most notable month of the year to make goals and resolutions. But I want to make sure that you understand that we are not here to set resolutions, but we are here to make a way for goals to work for you in your busy life. I completely understand how life can just get away, and sometimes our goals slip away, and sometimes our goals actually aren't our goals anyway. And we're going to talk about how to release those goals that aren't meant to be for you, and also how to set goals that are easy. So, before we even jump in any further, I think we should define and get an idea what a goal is. I think we all have some idea, but a goal is an object of a person's ambition or effort, an aim or desired result. Also, said a goal is an object or target that someone is trying to reach or achieve. It's something we want to have. So goals can range from actual material goods. It can range from a better lifestyle. It could range from getting a better job. There's so many different goals that we can set. So, as I told you, the purpose of this workshop, although titled Goal Setting Made Easy, is not actually about getting to the goals that we're going to be setting. The fact is that the goal that you're trying to set are promises that you're making to yourself. So think of a goal as a promise you made yourself. So how often are you breaking the promises you made to yourself by not either starting, moving through, or completing a goal? So, if a goal is a promise that you make to yourself, that means that every time you set a goal and don't move towards the completion, it's breaking that promise to yourself. I want to help you stop breaking promises to yourself. I also want you to notice that I didn't say every goal you don't accomplish. Because again, this is not about accomplishing the goal. It's about being the person who works towards that goal. That is keeping the promise to yourself. It is working towards the goal. Because sometimes, as I mentioned in the beginning, some goals are just not meant for us. They sound really good when we're making them, but we might get a few weeks or months into them and go, this just isn't for us. So let's work with an example for a second. Say your goal is to run a marathon. I always choose some kind of health goal because most people can understand that. This is a wonderful and ambitious goal. By the way, not my goal. But if you're not a runner, you're probably not going to complete the goal of running a marathon today, this month, or even maybe over the next few months. There's a lot of conditioning and planning and training, as well as some new muscle movements that need to be learned to get you to the point of running a marathon. But what if each day and each week you work towards running that marathon? And all of a sudden you've gotten to the point of running a 5K. So 3 miles versus the 26 miles. Would you say you failed? I wouldn't, because you've kept the promise to yourself. You've moved forward in that. This is just a stepping stone. But what if you ran that 5K and decided that a marathon is just too long? You don't want to spend that many hours a day running, or you don't actually care about getting that 26 miles. It's just not for you. Is that a failure? I would say no. You are now a person who's a runner. You've made strides. You've headed in the direction of that goal. You've kept promises to yourself. So, my intention with this workshop is to help you set some goals that you can move in the direction of and become the type of person that you keep promises to yourself and the type of person who accomplishes those promises. Maybe not the end goal that you originally wrote down, but moving in that direction. So you know you could set any goal and realize that it's not about completing the goal, but it's about being the person who can complete the goal. Basically, who can keep a promise to yourself. And I know we've talked about this and we'll continue to talk about the promises you make to yourself. I realize that this sounds like a really small distinction of whether you complete a goal or whether you're completing a promise to yourself. But inside your brain, the distinction between completing a goal and completing a promise is huge. Imagine if you didn't complete a promise ever. to yourself. Your brain remembers all of the promises that you haven't kept. So when you make new promises, like I'm setting my alarm for 5 a.m. tomorrow, your brain automatically goes, well, we've done that in the past and didn't work out so well. So whatever, no big deal. So our brain's not trying to help us. Our brain actually is using the past against us. So these promises are huge. So setting goals helps trigger new behavior. It helps guide your focus and helps you sustain that momentum in life. Goals also help you align the focus and promote a sense of self mastery. Who wouldn't want more self mastery? In the end, you can't imagine what you don't measure, and you can't improve upon something that you don't properly manage. These are really important distinctions about the goals and promises that you're making yourself. Setting goals gives you a long term vision and a short term motivation. It focuses your acquisition of the knowledge and helps you to organize your time and your resources so that you can make the most out of your life. So, now let's talk about how to set a goal. These ideas that I'm going to share with you come from several different sources, including Jim Rohn, James Clear, Susan Hyatt, and other coaches and podcasts and things that I've listened to. I have combined these ideas on goal setting to work best for me and my goals. With that being said, I want to give you personally permission to also make adjustments to this, to make changes, to set goals in the ways that work best for you. We want these to work for you. So if you try some of these things and they're just not working after evaluating them, then change, make the adjustment, add something, take something away, make them your own. There is no one way to set a goal and that's it. These are my ideas and the things that work best for me. Like I said, we're going to go through this together. So let's talk about the five major areas that come with goal setting. One, evaluation and reflection. Two, dreams and goals. Three, smart or smarter goals. Four, accountability. And five, review. We're not just going to be talking about these ideas. We're going to actually be doing this together. So before we begin, I want to make sure you have a piece of paper, a pen, something to write with your smartphone, because you are also going to make and set goals and follow along with some of these to see if this works. Again, make adaptations along the way to make sure that you are making the goals and the promises that you're going to follow through with, because you are becoming the person that follows through on all of their promises. That's what we're going to do for your brain. So before we even get started, we're going to take just a few minutes to do a little bit of grounding. Grounding in itself is just bringing us here into this present moment. And I think it's a really important way to start any kind of planning process. We're going to be doing some evaluation. We're going to be looking at where you are now, which is sometimes a very hard and difficult thing. We're also going to be dreaming a little bit and planning. So, all of those things are super important for us to be clear and present right where we are today. So, go ahead. After you've grabbed your piece of paper, you can pause it if you needed a little bit more time, but let's ground ourselves together. So we're going to go ahead and take several deep breaths in and out. Just go ahead and breathe normal. Breathe in and breathe out. Another breath in, another breath out. And then this is just a very relaxed breath in. Lower your shoulders. Breathe in till it's comfortable. Hold on to it for just a moment and then let it go. One more breath in and a breath out. With this breath in, I want you to bring in all the power of dreaming and planning and goal setting and allow it to stick to all the parts of your body, all the molecules from your head to your toes. Allow that with that breath and hold on to that for just a minute so it stays inside. And as you breathe out, please breathe out any concerns or worries or any problems that may be going on or doubts you have of being able to set a goal and accomplish a goal. Remember, we're making promises to ourselves and we're going to be doing this. One final breath in together and out together. Now put yourself in a place where you can think and dream and plan. I appreciate you starting this process with me, and let's dive in. Okay, so we're starting with number one, evaluation and reflection. This is sometimes the hardest part of goal setting. we're going to evaluate 8 parts of your life. You're welcome to change the wheel of life. You should see that on your screen. If these categories don't fit, you can add or subtract, whatever matches your world. Again, I am giving you full permission to change and make this work for you. For now, for today's discussion, we're going to talk about these 8 major categories. These are the ones I use. We're going to rate each of them on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being not so good, 10 being it is at the best possible, it could get no better. I also want you to take the time to be completely and absolutely honest with yourself. No one but you will see this unless you decide to share it with somebody. This isn't about those numbers. This is about evaluating where you are right now, right here. We are going to try and keep promises to ourselves. And if we don't know where we're starting from, how can we possibly make a promise or a goal to keep to ourselves? So before we even get started making goals and dreaming, we need to know where we are. And this is why we use this evaluation process. So we're going to take a few minutes. I always start in the upper right, which is emotional. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your emotional feelings, how you relate to your emotions? Scale of 1 to 10. Next, your career. This is kind of the happiness of your career. Do you love your career and it's a solid 10, nothing else could get better? Do you dislike your career and you wish you could do something else? Maybe that's a 1 or a 2. Maybe you're in the perfect career, but it's not in the direction you want to head. Wherever you feel, 1 to 10, go ahead and do that now. Next is finances. How do you feel your finances are? And this is not a judgment on you. This is a completely judgment-free space. Um, you could still be in an absolute 10 and have debt. You could be at a 1 and be a multimillionaire. How do you feel about your finances? That's the question we're asking here. Next is your environment. So this is the things around you, your house, your cars. This sometimes can be material things. It could also be the things you're including. Are you spending too much time on social media? Do you spend too much time watching TV? Do you want to start reading? Do you want to do other things? What is in your environment? How do you feel about your environment? Is there too much clutter for you? Do you love the minimalist lifestyle you've chosen? Do you love all the things around you? That's your environment. Halfway through, you're doing a fantastic job. Next, your health. How do you feel about your health? This could incorporate your movement. This could incorporate how you eat, whether you feel like you're healthy or not. It's totally up to you what you define as health. But on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel your health is? Next is family. This is kind of your familial relationship. It could be with a partner, it could be with family and friends. Um, Sometimes I include friends in this family type relationship. There's another category coming for social life, but this could be the relationships that are the closest to you. How do you feel those are? Do you love them, hate them, wish them better? 2 more categories. One is your social life. How do you feel about the things that you do? Now, this could be with your friends, family. It could be vacations. It could be what you do when you go to the gym. Your social life is the things you do for fun, generally speaking. What does your social life feel like to you? Beautiful. And our last one is spiritually. This does not have to be religion. For me, this is just how I relate to myself spiritually and my universe, my God, my source, all of those things that are important to me. How do I rate on a scale of 1 to 10 with those? So here's a couple of things that you can do with that. You could always print it out. I have a printed out version for you right here. I just put the numbers of how I felt about my life in there. You could color them in, 1 being the middle, 10 being the very top. So you would have, if you were an 8, you would fill it in most of the way. Again, you can change this wheel to fit with whatever works best for you. I want to encourage that, by the way. This just gives you an idea. So we're going to take a few minutes to just kind of look at this, evaluate some places you might want to make some changes. This does not mean that your goals have to be in the places that are the 1s, the 2s, the 3s, the 4s. You could choose something that's a 9 And that's where you want to make it a 10. You could choose something an 8 that you want to make it a set. If it's an 8, you want to make it a 9 or a 10. You can choose any of these areas. Now, together, we're going to choose one specific goal. And I'm going to walk you through that as we continue on with this process. But you can do this with multiple different areas of your life, or if there's something that's not even on this wheel, please feel free to do that. So, before we even jump into our second portion of goal setting, which is dreams and goals, I want you to take a minute for yourself. Look at that wheel, evaluate it. Just look at, how does it make you feel? And specifically, I want you to take a minute to be proud of yourself. Lots of people won't do this work. Lots of people won't evaluate, and they certainly won't be honest with themselves about an area that they don't feel is as good as they want it to be. When I took a look back over mine, and I really do love everything about my life, but there are some areas that I know there are some things that could be better, and I want to make better. So, in that process, that's part of what I'm going to be setting my goals for. So, take a few minutes, look it over before we jump into our next thing. All right. I'm so proud of what you've done so far. Now we're going to move on to dreams and goals, part two. So you might be thinking, why in the world are we talking about dreams? But dreams are plans without action. When we give them action, they become goals. So we're going to dream together. We're going to do a short meditation. You're going to just get to sit and dream a little. So go ahead and find yourself a comfortable place, and we're going to begin that meditation. We're going to dream into our future. So go ahead and find a relaxing space for your body. And as you settle into that comfortable position, go ahead and take your first deep breath, filling your body with fresh air, feeling it expand until it cannot expand anymore. And then let all that air go. Your eyes can be soft or closed. You don't need to remember anything. Just be here and dream with me. Take in one more breath, feeling your belly expand like a balloon, and exhale, feeling your belly contract as it's letting all of the air out. Go ahead and bring your breathing into normal rhythm, and just notice your body feeling a little bit more calm, a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more mellow. With every breath out, you're feeling a little bit more peaceful. Now, allow yourself to imagine that you are sitting comfortably with nature all around you. What are you sitting on? What do you see around you? What sounds do you hear? How do you feel being outside? Allow yourself to paint this beautiful picture. In this picture, it is 1 year from now. Allow a small smile to spread across your peaceful face as you sit in gratitude. Your future self thinks about all the great things that have transpired in this past year, thinking about who you are now and who you were a year ago. And for the next few minutes, I want you to allow your mind to paint a picture that will finish this sentence. I am so happy and grateful that in this past year, I give yourself permission to answer it as many times as you like, with as many events, circumstances, objects, or people that you can possibly think of. Remember that sentence is, I am so happy and grateful that this past year I let the paintbrush of your mind have fun. There's no wrong or right. There's nothing too small or too big. Just allow your future self to answer this question. And if anything you dream up has already happened in a year from now. So let's begin. I am so happy and grateful that this past year I. Now go ahead and bring your attention back to your breath, back to the movement of your body as you breathe in and breathe out. You can be, do, and have everything that you could possibly imagine. And this practice of dreaming into the future gives you a safe and creative space to open up to what's possible for you and for your future. You are worthy of all of it. So, as you come back from this meditation, I'd like you to go ahead and write down some of those dreams and goals and plans. They don't have to have a structure. Even just write down what you saw in that 1 year from now. If for whatever reason the dream is not coming, I'd love for you to ask yourself a few questions. What do I want to do? What do I want to try? What thrills me? What would I like to accomplish? And one of my favorite questions that all coaches love to ask, if I could not fail, what would I want to do? So take a few moments, write down those dreams, lean in a little bit, and we're going to start planning those dreams and goals next. All right, we're on to number 3. You guys are doing a great job. I promise you. Look at all you've done so far. You've evaluated where you were or are right now, things you might want to change. And then you've also done some dreaming about where you might want to go. So now we're going to get into like the logistics and the nitty gritty of it. So as you can see, we're going to talk about SMART goals. I'm sure you've heard of SMART goals or SMART-er goal. I'm going to talk about all the variations of this. And again, pick what works best for you. I will tell you some of the reasons and rationales behind it, but I also want you to pick what's best for you. The other deal in this, I told you this wasn't just going to be a workshop. This was going to be also you setting some of those goals, making some of those promises to yourself. So, from the wheel of life, remember we did this together. That was step one. And step two, that meditation on dreaming. You have an area you would like to start building a goal. Think about that for a minute. I will tell you, I have a goal, and I will work with this goal throughout this next process of having SMART goals. So, my goal is to fuel and move my body with fun, curiosity, and compassion. So, this is a very um, near and dear to my heart type of goal. One of the areas on my wheel of life that I would like to increase is my health. And now I'm not talking about adding a new diet. I'm not talking about adding a new um, exercise routine. I'm not talking about some of the things that we always hear about, especially in the month of January. I'm talking about A, being in love with my body, enjoying the movement that it does, and really enjoying and loving the food I get to fuel it with. So I'm very specific with my word choice, which by the way is our very first S. That S, the very first S of SMART is specific. This is a idea of not being vague. You don't want to wonder or guess what the goal is. You want it to be very specific so that when we do some of the other steps, you know what that looks like. So for me, I needed to go even deeper. So again, my goal is to fuel and move my body with fun, curiosity, and compassion. So the specifics of that is to feel good while I'm eating food, to not judge the food that I'm eating, to pick foods that really fuel and serve my body, to feel good after I'm eating, to not eat too much, to not eat too much of the wrong thing. Don't get me wrong, I will still be having foods that make me happy, but I want to enjoy those foods and listen to my body. I want to have pleasure and forgiveness around food. I have been spending so much of my life being really good at beating myself up for having cheat days or for eating too much of this. I love to bake, I love to cook, and I also love to eat. And none of those things are bad. And I have to choose what proportions work best for my body and I feel the best with, not someone else telling me that I should or shouldn't have something. Should is not a part of my world. I want to do what feels best for my body. And I have to know that. I have to pay attention to that. I can't just say, like, you know, 3 almonds are best for my body. What if 4 is better? What if none is better? What if I don't feel like almonds? You have to be very specific about the goals that you're doing. So again, I want to feel good while I'm eating the food, after I eat the food. I want to have pleasure and forgiveness in while I'm eating and with movement. I want to step outside my comfort zone with my movement. So these are all the specific parts of that goal. I'm being very specific. The reason I'm being specific is because then I know how to measure the promises I've made to myself. Am I stepping outside my comfort zone with my movement? Yes or no? Am I doing the same thing I always do? So that's why having a very specific goal is very important. So that's the first part of the S. The second part of this smarter goal is M, which is measurable. This means that you know you are moving forward, checking things off the list or seeing progress towards that goal. Now, for me, the M in this is not a scale. I will tell you that right now. It is not a matter of losing weight or gaining weight or anything like that. There are two things that I currently use, and one is a system of checking in with myself. Did that meal fuel me? How hungry am I? So, how much do I need to consume? Did I enjoy eating that food? Did I like that movement? Now, don't get me wrong, I don't know if I'm going to enjoy all of the movement, but do I feel better after I've done that? Have I stepped outside that comfort zone? And if there is a weight loss or change in body somehow among that, I use clothes as my determining factor of whether something's changing. I don't use a scale. Scale and I have never really gotten along very well. So that's how I use to measure. Now, if you are a person who loves to scale and wants to see those numbers go down or up or whichever direction you're headed, and you need specific math, use a scale. I'm not saying you can't. I'm telling you what I'm doing. And again, I'm giving you full permission on each of these things to move forward in the way that feels best for you. And you may not know what that way is. That's why we emulate these people. I told you all of these are taken from different people I've spoken with or books I've read or things like that. That I'm like, I'm going to try that, see if it works for me. And if it does, awesome. That's amazing. Use it. If it doesn't, it's okay. Not every idea is meant for every person, but I want you to try. That's how we find out what works for each of us. The third one, or the third part of smarter goals, is attainable or action oriented. It's something that you can accomplish. That does not mean um, it has to be the end of the goal. Like the goal doesn't have to be accomplished. Remember, this is about being the person who keeps promises to yourself. We are headed in the direction. If the goal is not attainable, though, you're just setting yourself up for disappointment and breaking yet another promise to yourself. We're not trying to do that for you. We need it to be something that you can actually reach. And honestly, there are some things that maybe aren't good goals for me because they're not attainable for me. And they're also not things I want or desire. But truly, most things are attainable. You just need to make sure that you can and that it is absolutely feasible for you to get there. The R of SMART or smarter goals is realistic, doable, relevant. This is about making sure that the goal is something you actually desire and want. Why is this goal even important to you? So I go back to the marathon example. So if I didn't want to run the marathon and I only got to the 5K and I'm proud of myself and that's as far as I want to go, then there's no point in moving forward with the marathon. I'm actually just going to be setting myself up for failure because I don't want to run the marathon. So please make sure that you are creating goals that are realistic, relevant, they're doable for you. Again, you can always answer the question, why is this goal important to me? The T of SMART or smarter goals is time frame or time bound. Goals need to start and need to have an end point. It's part of knowing what has been accomplished. It's time to reevaluate. If setting a goal with no time structure, it gets lost in your busy life. I'm sure I'm not the only person who set a goal, kind of forgotten about it, come back to it weeks, months later and gone, I didn't actually go anywhere because there wasn't actually a time frame or wasn't time bound. For me, that goal where I'm going to fuel and move my body with fun, curiosity, and compassion, how that time frame looks for me personally is that each week I evaluate my food and I'm already working into this goal. So I'm evaluating what have I eaten this week? What do I want to eat this week? Because that's part of my meal prep as well. What things did I really like and would be willing to repeat? What things did I try? And I'm like, nah, that's just not for me. So having that kind of evaluation process each week for my food is really important. With regard to my movement, I actually extend that time frame out a little bit. I do it every 2 weeks or every 4 weeks because with regard to movement, sometimes movement, especially if you haven't done this movement before, say you decided you wanted to pick up swimming and you went swimming twice this last week, um, you're going to find muscles maybe you didn't know you had. There's going to be some um, adaptation phase. And so if I just evaluated at the end of the week when my shoulders were sore from swimming, I may not want to continue. So for me, the time constraint is more like every 2 weeks to every 4 weeks where I'm evaluating what movement am I doing that I love? What movement would I like to add or take away? Or what's just not nearly as much fun as I want it to be? Which, speaking of fun, that's our next one. So most people have heard of SMART goals, SMART. That concludes what we've already talked about. There's another two, the E and the R, that come a little bit later that I've actually added in. I heard it on a podcast, I think, and I really loved it. And it really made goal setting a little bit more fun for me. The smarter portion, the E of the ER, is excited. Um, why? Why are you excited? Is the goal interesting to you? goals can be an uphill battle with a very heavy backpack sometimes. And if you're not excited to get to the top of that hill, why are you going? Again, back to that marathon. Like, if you don't want to run the marathon, you just thought it sounded nice on paper originally, awesome. Don't run the marathon. Let's stop working towards that goal. Let's find a goal that works right here, right now. Because remember, we're trying to keep these promises with ourselves. So when you look at this goal, are you excited about it? What are you excited about? For me, the choice of words that I use in my goal, the fuel and move my body with fun, curiosity, and compassion, is very exciting to me because it's not lose 10 pounds. It's not eat only vegetables for dinner. It's not you have to run 10 miles a week. It's not any of these things that for years were some of my goals that felt heavy and hard. This goal of fueling and moving my body with fun, curiosity, and compassion excites me. So it's really an important part of my goal. And some of that is just word choices in what my goal is. The R of the smart is risky. Risk is just about taking a few steps outside your comfort zone. I am not asking you to do anything dangerous unless you want to. I am not asking you to jump off any cliffs unless you want to. I am truly asking you to step outside your comfort zone. We all live inside of our comfort zones most of the time. However, the fun, the joy, the excitement never really happens inside this comfort zone. We have to take a little bit of risk to just step outside, even if it's just a toe outside that comfort zone to try something different or new. And so that's what I mean by risky. Now, if you are an amazing risk taker and you want to risk it all and try all those things, I will absolutely be here to cheerlead you on. I am a very minimal risk taker, but I also know the value of taking a risk and stepping outside my comfort zone and how experimenting and trying works. So for me, how that looks with my goal is I'm going to try class. I'm going to invest in going to the gym to do things a little differently, to try some of the machines that maybe in the past I didn't like trying, but maybe I didn't give them enough of a chance. So I'm going to try them. And if I still do not like them, I will not continue with them. But who knows? I might fall in love with them. I'm going to incorporate hobbies more into my daily life. Because some of those hobbies, some of the hobbies I personally love, are very much about moving my body. One of them is archery, one of them is hiking. These are both movement based situations. And I want to incorporate friends and family in that. So I'm making it really fun and being able to step outside that comfort zone just a little bit. So I hope you'll do the same thing. So you're doing a great job. We have two more parts of how to set a goal. Just to recap for just a moment, remember we did the wheel of life, and that was us evaluating where we are now. We did that meditation and we dreamed a little bit. Then step three, we talked through smarter goals. And I hope you were writing down some ideas along the way. Or if you need a few minutes, always remember you can pause this video, take that time so that we can move on to step four, which is accountability. So the power of accountability is that sometimes we are more likely to continue forward if there's someone or something checking in and making sure that we do it. Um, Kind of a perfect example of accountability that may not look like accountability. Have you ever gotten a call from your family or friend or something like that that's like, hey, I'm going to be at your house in 10 minutes. And you stop what you're doing and you take a look around and you're like, my house is not other human ready. And how much you get done in that 9.5 minutes, because you also have to make sure that you're also presentable. So there's 30 seconds there that you spend. Um, you can probably clean your entire kitchen, your living room, your entryway, your family room, like everything can be presentable in under 9 minutes, where you've probably been delaying that for days or weeks. I've definitely done it. I can make my house spotless if you give me that 10 minutes. Um, and it looks amazing. That's the power of accountability. When someone else is checking in on you, when someone else is stopping by, you make sure you're doing the thing. Now, honest, I don't want you to rush through your goals in that 9.5 minutes to get it ready so that you can check the box. But I do want you to have some accountability. accountability helps us move forward in what we're doing. And there's two types of accountability, by the way. So the type I just mentioned to you, that's external or other accountability. The one I want to talk about first is actually you or direct accountability. You are holding yourself accountable. You're writing things down. You're being honest with yourself and using your time frame to see whether you're within your goals or not. To do this, by the way, using those smarter things, you need to write things down. I have time on my calendar to review my goals. I have time every day that is specifically dedicated to movement. I spend at least some time each week kind of planning and preparing what foods are going to be done. Um, I I don't meal plan the same way other people do, but I certainly do prepare myself and get ready for the week because I don't want to find out that I'm going to make eggs and toast and I have no eggs. I have to prepare for that. Those are types of accountability that I'm preparing for myself because if the food I want for breakfast is eggs because I know it fuels me really well and I don't have eggs, I'm most likely going to make really bad decisions. I don't know what they're going to be, but they're not going to be great decisions if I don't have those things. So that direct accountability is really important. For me, all of it's written down in my calendar. That's how I keep myself accountable and review and check in with myself. Other or external accountability is basically outside support that helps you in accomplishing those goals and see um, what and how they can support you. Sometimes they're your cheerleader, sometimes they're your coach and they're screaming and yelling at you. Sometimes we're also too close to the goal and what we're accomplishing to see where we may need to deviate a little bit because generally speaking, we tend to be pretty stubborn. And so we are narrow focused when it comes to goals. And that outside person might say, like, hey, there's a speed bump coming up. Like, why don't you do this instead? And we really want those outside people to be really honest and compassionate with your goals. And in honest, I mean that they share with you when they think you're messing it up or they think you're not following through or you're kind of telling yourself a fib. But they also want to be compassionate. For me, if I had an outside accountability person that just got on the phone and says like and started yelling at me every single time, I wouldn't that wouldn't work with my personality. But I have an amazing coach and a beautiful friend who I speak to every single week. We talk about both our business goals and our personal goals every single week. And um, she's a take no prisoner kind of person, but she also is incredibly compassionate and she's understanding when I may not be going 90 to nothing. I may need to slow down and respects what's going on, but doesn't let me get away with a lot and I really appreciate that friendship that she and I have because I know she cares enough to be tough and helpful to help me accomplish my goals. Because honestly, what does she care whether I eat or not? Well, honestly, that's the truth. I mean, I know she loves me and she wants the best for me, but that doesn't affect her. I know she cares enough about me to have that kind of like honesty and compassion with me and be very direct about my goals. And I'm very appreciative. So know the kind of person you're also looking for. Um, a person who I absolutely adore and love, my mother, would be not the best accountability partner for some of those things because she's just a cheerleader and an amazing cheerleader at that. But she wouldn't always be honest, even if she saw that maybe my goal wasn't being accomplished the best way I can, because she's such a cheerleader. And we need people like that in our lives. But I know that about her. So I know when to go and get some cheerleading and get a attaboy on the back and get a good old fashioned amazing hug. But I use this accountability friend of mine that I speak to weekly to also kind of help light some fire under my rear to help keep me moving forward. So choosing an accountability partner or friendship in that is really important, but also being accountable to yourself. So looking at both of those types of accountability is truly amazing. Okay, so let's take a deep breath. So you might even be thinking right now about some accountability partners or some people you want to connect with, some people you may want to go on this journey with who might want to run through some goals together. You could even sit down, just as an idea, you could take this workshop, sit down together and create some goals in some other areas of your life with regard to the wheel of life or your personal wheel of life and hold each other accountable. So think about who those accountability people are, plus how do you keep yourself accountable to yourself? All right, we are on our fifth how to set goals. And this is a simple one, but one I will be very honest with you, gets pushed away more often than not because it's review. And it's just like it sounds. We need to set a time to review those goals. The longer the goals take to accomplish, the more times we should be reviewing them. So if this goal is going to take 6 months, you shouldn't just review it once. You should be reviewing it ever so often. And that is a amount of time that's determined by you. I told you before, with regard to my goal, every week I'm evaluating my food, and every 2 to 4 weeks I'm evaluating my movement. So I'm reviewing and evaluating what's going on to make adjustments. I am constantly just readjusting where I'm going to get to that finish line or to keep the promise to myself. Because honestly, this goal is a lifetime goal for me. This is not one that will end at, you know, December 31st, 2023, because I will still need to eat and I will still need to move January 1st, 2024. So, but this is creating habits for me and really knowing what foods do fuel me best and what movements I really love and enjoy and how I can incorporate that into a fun lifestyle. So, reviewing along the way also includes redirection. I know I kind of hinted at this, but sometimes it's not always a straight path. There's things in our way, there's boundaries, there's barriers, there's speed bumps, as I call them. And we need to either figure out how to accelerate enough over that speed bump or a way around it. And this only happens when we're reviewing. Because if we're just so focused on the very end spot, we don't see all the stuff that happens along the way. So the purpose of reviewing is to make sure that you're always headed in the direction that you desire. Again, it's a you desire direction. Remember the marathon. If you get to the 5K and you're really happy there, maybe it's time to set a new or a different goal. But the goal doesn't need to be the marathon. You don't have to accomplish that. You've already made and kept a promise to yourself. So it's time to continue doing that. So you can always change courses, by the way. I want to give you permission to make this your own and know that you don't have to solve the goal that you originally set for yourself. Um, I will tell you, in my lifetime of setting goals, this was one of the most impactful and empowering things that someone had said to me is that I don't actually have to complete the goal to be the person who keeps the promises to myself. That's a really powerful thought because originally I thought I wouldn't even set a goal because I knew I wouldn't accomplish it. And that's not putting me in the direction of how I want to live my life. So, this idea of course correction is really powerful. And know that you can always shift and change along the way to get to the goal that actually serves you best. So, take a big deep breath in. You have done an amazing job with these 5 steps. Again, those 5 steps, starting at the very, very beginning where we were a couple of minutes ago, was evaluating a reflection, this wheel of life. You can print this, you can make your own, it doesn't even have to be in a wheel, it can just be a list of things. But that evaluation and reflection is really important. Dreaming to set your goals. Where do you see yourself in a year? And maybe 1 year was too short a time frame. Maybe you need a 5 year or a 10 year. Maybe you need a 6 month. Whatever the time frame is, it's absolutely up to you. But you use that meditation. You can always drop back into it. Then we talked about SMART goals or SMART goals, which incorporated so many different ideas that I hope that you will take, again, specific, measurable, attainable, or action oriented, realistic, meaning doable or relevant to where you are, time frame or time bound, some kind of time constraint, and then that extra which was excited and risky. We talked about accountability, both internal and external accountability. And then we last talked about the idea that you need to review this so that you can course correct at any time that works best for you. So, one of the most amazing parts of goal setting is that this is a dream and a promise to yourself. That also means that a goal is not set in stone and that you are always allowed to course correct and kind of change and adapt to what's going on with you. You're moving through a goal and towards a dream. So thank you so much for being here today. I hope that this was good and helpful information to you. I would love to connect with you outside of this workshop. You're welcome to send me an email, find me on social media. I'm on all social media handles as Purely Peyton. I would love to connect with you anyway. If you have any questions about this workshop, thank you so much for being here. I look forward to connecting and having a great time hearing about your goals and the promises you're keeping to yourself. Thanks so much. Have an amazing day.